Hi, my name is Sean Ennis with ENNIS Management, and I have 13 ways for you to make money from your songs. Mechanical royalties. If you're serious about getting your music out there, you're probably selling physical products like CDs, LPs, cassettes, or vinyl. Every time a unit is sold or manufactured, you earn a mechanical royalty generated from the reproduction of your song. Record companies or other entities manufacturing products with your song, like The Gap, W Hotel, Potamayo, pay this royalty. If the reproduction is in the US, the royalty rate is 0.091 cents per reproduction for the song under 5 minutes. A formula rate kicks in set by the US government for songs over 5 minutes. Outside of the US, the royalty rate is typically 8 to 10% of the list price. Analog public performance royalties. Every time there's a public performance of your composition, you make money. Public performances happen all the time. You play a set at a local pub, your song gets radio play, you hear your tracks as background music in a restaurant or hair salon, and each time the songwriter earns money. So who pays up? AM, FM radio, network TV, bars, restaurants, airplanes, offices, movie theaters. You get the point. Both in the US and outside the US, the royalty rate is determined by one-to-one negotiation between the performance rights organization and the entity where the performance occurred. Synchronization license royalties from the distribution copyright. If a film or TV studio, production company, or someone else wants to use your composition in a TV show, movie, or commercial, they need to pay for the synchronization license. The license fee, both in and outside the US, is a one-to-one negotiation, usually based on several things, like the length of the use, how it's being used, the format, and the popularity of the production. Because of all these factors, the fee can range from a few $100s to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mechanical synchronization royalties. There's also a mechanical royalty generated from the reproduction copyright. There's a per unit royalty payment owed to the songwriter based on the number of units manufactured that include the song, like a greeting card, toy, video game, and others. Depending on the type of unit manufactured, entities like Hallmark, toy companies, or video game companies generate and pay this royalty, and the value worldwide is usually based on the initial manufactured units. Print royalties. As the name suggests, this royalty generated from the public display copyright has to do with printed materials like lyric sheets, sheet music, tablature, and others. When music publishers like Hal Leonard or Alfred Music Publishing create sheet music, or a company prints t-shirts with lyrics on them, they are required to pay a print royalty. There is no government rate for this royalty. It's a one-to-one negotiation. If we're talking sheet music, the royalty is usually 15% of retail price, and or a one-time fee for pressing is negotiated. Digital download mechanical royalties. If you write a song and distribute it to music services like Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, or Google Play, you're owed a royalty for every unit of your music that is downloaded. This royalty type comes from the reproduction and distribution copyrights, and the royalty payment mirrors physical reproduction at 0.0 0.91 cents per reproduction in the US, and generally 8% to 10% of the list price outside the US. Streaming mechanical royalties. Streaming is the name of the game these days, and if you distribute your music to digital stores, it's likely that you choose a few interactive streaming services like Spotify or Deezer. In case you're not familiar with the term interactive, it means that the user can choose the songs, stop, go backwards, create a playlist, and other functions. As was the case with digital downloads, a songwriter is owed a royalty from the reproduction copyright for every stream of his or her song on an interactive streaming service. In the US, there's a government-mandated rate of around 0.005 cents per stream. And outside of the US, the royalty is typically 8% to 10% of the list price. Digital, non-interactive streaming. Public performance royalties. We talked about interactive, and now we're talking about non-interactive. A non-interactive streaming service is one through which you cannot pick your songs, create playlists, or otherwise interact with the music, kind of like AM or FM radio. A non-interactive stream is a public performance and therefore generates a songwriter royalty paid by the streaming service like Pandora, Slacker, iHeartRadio, Sirius XM satellite radio, cable companies, and thousands of other entities. Worldwide, the royalty rate is determined by a one-to-one negotiation between the PRO and the other entity, generally based on a percent of the entity's gross revenue. Interactive streaming public performance royalties. When someone streams your song on an interactive streaming service like YouTube, Spotify, or Deezer, it also counts as a public performance, which means you are owed additional songwriter royalties. There is no set government rate in or outside the US. It's determined individually by the PRO and the other entity. Once again, usually based on a percent of the entity's gross revenue. A few formulas and calculations from the PRO later, and you've got a royalty. Digital Synchronization License. Sync also applies to the digital world. We all know it's common for people to create YouTube or Vimeo videos that use someone else's music in the background. In slightly more technical terms, what's happening here is that the song is being synchronized with a moving image, and when this happens, per-use license payment is required. As far as the royalty rates goes, there is no government rate, just a one-to-one negotiation that sets the per-use royalty rate. It's typically a percentage of net revenue as generated by advertising dollars. Digital print. Google any song and you'll immediately find dozens of sites with song lyrics, sheet music, or tablature available for use. The use of this music on the sites is yet another form of public display, and the lyric sites, music sites, and even sites with avatars wearing virtual t-shirts with song lyrics all generate and pay this songwriter royalty. There is no government rate set worldwide, and the rate is typically a fee for a specified period of time and or a percentage of the site's gross revenue from paid subscriptions or advertising. Mechanical royalty for a ringtone, ringback tone. Whenever a ringtone or ringback tone is purchased for a mobile device, a royalty is owed. It's generated from the reproduction and distribution copyrights. Music services and telecoms like AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Cricket, Vodafone, and more are required to pay mechanical royalties to the tune of 24 cents per ringtone in the US, and a percentage of gross revenue outside the US. Public performance royalty for a ringtone ringback tone. In addition to the royalty generated in the purchase of a ringtone ringback tone, a songwriter royalty is owed for the public performance that occurs when someone plays the tone outside of the US. Once again, the telecoms and music service need to pay, and the rate is determined by a one-to-one negotiation. As always, write your comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. And for all of your promotion, marketing, and music career consulting needs, email ennisproductions@gmail.com.